Okay, we move along now to the next topic with Noam Bedein, war photographer.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with all these things as a war photojournalist?
I'll be honest, part of the contrast, I think, especially representing the Israeli story, the Israeli narrative, is always trying to give a couple sides of the story of living in Israel. So for many years, I've been a war photographer of documenting the human drama living on the Gaza border in terms of conflict, presenting that, and being under rocket fire and documenting live scenes. Eventually, I needed to give myself a balance with what I've been exposed to and been dealing with. I need to
A break.
a break or to focus on something else to, I guess, counter what I've been exposed to. And eventually, I moved out. Once I got married, I needed to move from the Gaza border, and I moved to the Judean desert on the opening of the Judean desert, right outside of Jerusalem. And as a born and raised Israeli, it was the first time I fell in love with a certain type of topography of the land of Israel, what's so called. And for 3 years, I've been documenting the Judean desert, showing the beauty and the magic of this place. And it was interesting for me. I saw that exactly the contrast that because we live at the opening of the desert, during the winter times, we have rainbows throughout the entire winter because we have the Judean desert on one side. On the other side, we have Jerusalem hills. So we have rainy clouds. We have the sun in the Judean desert. We're in between, so we have rainbows throughout the entire winter. I noticed that I would get the same adrenaline of chasing these rainbows and documenting those first seconds
As you are chasing them.
as I was chasing rockets. And that's why I called my story From Rockets to Rainbows. Because that's part of the Israeli story. On one hand, you'd be living under rocket fire or under this terrorism threat. On the other hand, being exposed to the beauty and the magic of Israel. That was my part of my story and experience. And eventually, mapping the entire surrounding of Jerusalem, I took upon myself to try documenting or branding all the metropolitan of Jerusalem. And eventually, after getting to the Judean desert, I reached the northern part of the Dead Sea, which is 1 hour drive from Jerusalem. Northern part of the Dead Sea, that's the place where it's the lowest place on earth. People are on the way to Metzada and Gedi, on the way to Eilat. It's on the eastern side of Israel. On the other side of the Dead Sea, you have Jordan. And anyways, I came to the Dead Sea, and it's been a dream of mine for years to focus on the Dead Sea, one of the most enchanted places we have in Israel. The most saltiest body on earth we actually have is in the Dead Sea. And I came across this kibbutznik, this guy from a kibbutz of Mitzpeh Shalem, northern Dead Sea. He had this NATO army boat that he was able to bring. He's a captain. He loves sailing. And I went on this boat's experience for the first time. This is on
On
April
the Dead Sea.
on the Dead Sea. This is on April 2016. First thing, like 7 o'clock in the morning, so we have very good light. It was a 3 hour, 4 hour adventure, and it blew my mind away. It was the first time as an Israeli I saw the Dead Sea from up close, seeing what, and I understood why this place was nominated as one of the seventh wonders of the world. It's not until I took that boat ride, and I'll close my eyes and I'll see all these salt formations and all these salt layers, and just seeing things that again I see myself as someone who's been traveling around the world, and seeing this from up close, I understood why this place was nominated as a world wonder. And I did that experience, and it took me a couple of months, like 6 months, 5 months afterwards, September 2016. That was my second time. I took this boat ride. I brought my parents. I brought a couple of people from Denmark actually to experience this boat ride. And when on the second time I did this boat ride, I did not recognize the Dead Sea. I did not recognize the places I've been to from the first time. Everything was changed dramatically.
In 6 months.
In 5 months, everything was changed
5 months.
completely. The water went down completely, and I did not recognize the places I've been to because the receding of the water. I understood that wow, you have a dramatic story happening over here. That we're losing the Dead Sea very quickly. People know that the Dead Sea is shrinking. the water is going down. And by doing this boat ride, I realized that this was my first time as an Israeli. I really saw it from up close, understanding how that over meter and a half in a year, we're losing the Dead Sea.
A sea level goes meter and a
Meter and a
half.
half. I did a calculation. It's around 600 Olympic pools every single day are lost or vanished from the Dead Sea.
Because where does the water go?
Well, the water's disappearing from different reasons. People would love to say that it's because of the industry, of the factories of the Dead Sea. People are not realizing this is only 35% of the reasoning, that they're pumping up the water for using the minerals and the salts for, you probably heard of the Ahava products of the world.
The Dead Sea products.
Or the Dead Sea products. So this is only 35% of it.
So
the other
65%
that most Israelis do not even realize is because the historical flow to the Dead Sea has been dried out completely. The Jordan River and the Kinneret, the main water resource to the Dead Sea, is almost dried out completely.
How come?
So eventually, well, this is because many reasons for that is because a lot of the water has been used for agricultural reasons, for water, for Syria, for Jordan. Part of the peace agreement is providing Jordan with fresh water coming from Israel, using the Sea of Galilee, the Kinneret, for Jordan. And it's just a fascinating understanding that getting into this whole Dead Sea experience of not only showing visually for the first time, I'm basically the first photographer to document the Dead Sea over a period of time on a boat. Nobody knows there's actually only one boat on the Dead Sea. And I take delegations twice a month on this boat, on these expeditions, to really experience the Dead Sea from up close. And I share with our guests, I share the documentations, all the places that we go to. Look what happened here. Look what used to be here a couple of months before. And then they understand visually
how does it look
differences.
And how it's been looking.
So it's interesting for me, by the way, that I shifted from human drama, human conflict, to the environment drama, and showing it visually for the first time. You could see immediately there's an impact. People can be touched visually of what's happening, and getting people's attention, getting the audiences dramatically engaged from what the changes of what's happening. Only then I could start pushing for what can be done. And part of the agenda of this Dead Sea, of this eco boat ride excursions that we actually have, is to encourage people about the roots of the solutions that have to be dealing with the Dead Sea. And eventually this brought me to be an advocate for the Dead Sea and advocating for restoring the historical flow to the Dead Sea, is restoring the Jordan River, restoring the Sea of Galilee, which is the real water resources of Israel. And by doing so, we're building bridges and cooperations with countries throughout the entire Middle East. Because water is always a claim of war throughout history, fresh water. And by having water in these places, restoring water in these historical flows, we can actually build more bridges with Jordan, providing Syria with especially with the refugees with fresh water. And it's interesting that this is a Middle East problem, but focusing on the Dead Sea is something actually absolutely fascinating to be a part of.
Can you tell us where is the Dead Sea compared to in Israel? Israel is a very little country.
Right, so the Dead Sea...
It's about half an hour from Jerusalem?
Yeah, well, it's like a 45-minute drive from Jerusalem, driving east.
To Jordan?
Towards the Jordan side, towards Jordan. Then you have the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea goes all the way down south towards Metzada, which is the number one touristic spot in Israel. Towards down to Eilat.
Metzada is this...
Masada, right.
Masada is that place where
the historical place of the heroic story of the Jews surviving during the Roman Empire, conquering Israel and destroying Jerusalem and reaching over there.
Temple.
Right, the temple itself. I mean, Masada is a whole story on its own, but that became the number one touristic spot in Israel. The kibbutz En Gedi is the most beautiful kibbutz, if you ask me, one of the most beautiful kibbutz we have in Israel. We have the Qumran, which is considered the most fascinating discovery in
Of
the
the Dead
20th
Sea
century, where
Scrolls.
the Dead Sea Scrolls, considered one of the most enchanted discoveries in the 20th century, with what was found over there. All the different scrolls of the Bible and New Testaments and stuff like that. So that's a very popular place. And the Dead Sea is a place that people from around the world come to experience, to get healed. People that have skin problems or skin diseases, they come to be healed. It's a place that it actually floats on the water and read a newspaper. And it has a
You
lot of
really can just lie down and
yeah,
read a
yeah.
newspaper.
It's a saltiest body on Earth. It's times 10 more salty than than the ocean. So it's a very consecrated over there with
The
minerals
salt.
and salts.
I wanted to ask you. It comes from the Jordan River. From the Jordan River comes from the Lebanon, Syria, Yarmouk,
Right.
and Dan, and then goes to the to the Kinneret, the Sea of Galilee.
Up, right.
Yeah.
Right.
But then when it goes down, it's supposed to go to the all the way to the Dead Sea.
That's the
Is that-
historical flow, yes.
Does the Dead Sea have any exit?
It does not have it's a good point. It does not have an exit. That's why it's not really a sea. It's a lake. But we still call it the Dead Sea, which is interesting. That's actually the Romans gave that name, the Dead Sea, even though in Israel, and if you interpret it from Hebrew, it's the sea, the Salt Sea, the Salt Sea, because it's a wonderful place that we have in the country or in the world, having the lowest place on Earth, which is becoming lower every single year.
It is the lowest place on Earth.
Lowest place on Earth.
300.
Well, it says today it's minus 430 beneath water level.
Sea level.
Sea level.
Mm-hmm.
So people also say that the sun is also different. People that can actually go bathing in sunbathing without getting burned, and has a lot of health benefits being in the Dead Sea.
The water.
The water itself and the area itself is very special. So the Dead Sea on its own has a lot of historical, biblical, geological phenomena and importance.
How about political?
And also political, because this is a Middle East place, because you have the Palestinian Authority on the northern parts of the Dead Sea, which are part of. You have the Jordan Kingdom.
The real
Jordan.
Palestinian state.
Okay, some would say, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
on the eastern bank of the Dead Sea, and the solutions for the Dead Sea have to involve more countries, because having desalination water, we're talking about the biggest project ever been done for desalination of seawater.
Does that come from the Red Sea or the Mediterranean?
So there are a couple of projects of coming from the Red Sea, from the Mediterranean Sea, and what people have known today is the canal connecting the Red Sea to the Dead Sea. This is a project that's actually been run by the Jordanians. A lot to explain, but any solution for the Dead Sea have to put Jordan into the equation, because Jordan is the fourth country in the world having least amount of fresh water per capita, and they need the water fast, especially having all the refugees, a lot of refugees coming from Syria to Jordan. They need fresh water, and part of the peace agreement that we have with Israel was providing Jordan with fresh water, but Israel does not have enough fresh water today
from the
Sea of Galilee or from the Jordan River, and that's why a lot has to do with solving the water problems. So part of the solutions is
how do you solve that?
So there are different projects of bringing desalination water from the Red Sea or from the Mediterranean Sea to the Dead Sea. The project that people have been hearing about is from the canal, it's called the Red Sea to the Dead Sea. Over $10 billion were raised by the Jordanians from the World Bank. And so the project is a really Jordanian project to bring water all the way up to to Amman with fresh water, and on the way to go through the Dead Sea to the southern part of the Dead Sea, but only 10% for what the Dead Sea actually needs will get from these pipes.
Don't Saudi Arabian or the other desert countries needs fresh water?
Yeah, everybody needs fresh water today.
Do they have enough?
I do not know. I do not know.
Because I
about
was
that.
thinking of that's not a matter of money.
Right. It's a good point. I'm not sure exactly what's their situation with water, but it's interesting that Saudi Arabia, they're part of the Red Sea as well.
Exactly.
So that's why any plants that are built in the Red Sea have to involve also
The Saudis.
the Saudis, exactly. Which is interesting. The solution that we're trying to promote is restoring the historical flow to the Dead Sea, which is a more real, natural solution for the Dead Sea. Is bringing water from the Mediterranean Sea towards the Sea of Galilee with desalination water, filling up that Sea of Galilee, which is today is always in the bottom between the red and black line. We fill up that water body, right? Providing water, but before that, providing water for the entire northern part of Israel and providing Jordan from the peace agreement.
And the Syrian.
And Syrian, right? And then you open up the dam that we had, the Degania Dam, over the Jordan River, connecting to the Sea of Galilee. And having water flowing to the Jordan River. Some places it's 2.5 meters. Having water flowing, you have 70 to 100 meters, giving a livelihood for the entire Jordan River bank, giving life for both sides of the Jordan River, and in the most natural way goes to the Dead Sea. And that's a solution that, on the long run, that's what's my agenda eventually to be promoting more and more. And again, we're talking about. Is
that because it's easier to do it on your own than dealing with the Jordanian and Saudis, or
it's a very good point. It's a good point. The truth is that Israel's never pushed for that kind of solution, which is interesting. Again, we're talking about a problem.
Why they didn't?
And that's a question. That's a question. But all the professionals, all the geologists are saying that's the most natural solution for the Dead Sea. We're dealing with a major problem that could be that next generation. We're talking about the next generation. My children. My son that was born. It's interesting for me, by making it personal, that I started this documentation project at the Dead Sea a few months after my firstborn son Levi was born. And it's interesting for me to see him growing up, and he just started walking, 2 weeks ago. I see him growing up, and I'm documenting the Dead Sea going down. I see that now that in his adulthood, he's not going to, in this kind of rate, he's not going to experience the Dead Sea like we know it today. There's not going to be a Dead Sea next generation. There's going to be a pool of salt remain over there. And this is again a historical, geological phenomena that is disappearing in front of our eyes. So we're talking about a project, a cause that should be focused onto the next generation. So these are years we're talking about that should be put more focused. But I've learned from my years, from my young years, of taking a cause and advocating for it and exposing it visually. This is what I can be doing. And I know how to document. I know how to take a project, a cause, and to get a massive exposure for it. And by creating awareness, we're hoping for pressuring the government, first of all, to be taking more notice and to really start solving the roots of the problems of the Dead Sea. That's my project today.
I wanted to ask you one question about the reason of that historical flow. As I know the map of Israel, the Mediterranean and the Sea of Galilee are very close to each, maybe 50 kilometers the most. And the Red Sea and Dead Sea is about 200 kilometers at least. And then the Mediterranean to the Red Sea, to the Dead Sea, where it is, it's about 150, 200 kilometers too.
Right.
So it is the easiest solution.
Cheapest, and the most natural solution for the Dead Sea.
Because it goes to the old ones.
And it makes most sense as well. It makes the most sense to restoring the historical flow and giving livelihood by doing that.
To a natural...
for natural flow. Mm. So the way we're doing it today, what we do is, like we said, we take out these boat rides, these boat excursions. There's only one boat today. And for people, when they come visiting Israel, they can come actually experience this world wonder from up close like never before. Again, what's interesting, even for us Israelis, When people go vacationing in the Dead Sea, they're thinking they're vacationing in the Dead Sea. They go all the way down south to the hotel district, not realizing these are pools of salt remaining over there today, and everything's artificial over there. It's not the Dead Sea anymore. For years, the real Dead Sea is in the northern part of the Dead Sea.
By Jericho.
It's disconnected, by the way, right? Disconnected from the southern part, only with pipelines to pipe out the water. And one of the only ways to experience this world, a heritage site, is only taking a boat. There's almost no way to get out onto the beaches. You're not allowed to be walking around. The real problems we're dealing with, the water going down, are the sinkholes. We have these sinkholes that are destroying the entire region. We have these beautiful beaches that were closed down because of sinkholes. Sinkholes are the result of this balance of salt and fresh water. We have like 700 sinkholes per year in this region. 700, over 6,000 in total. And it's something that's really destroying this place. And that's why no infrastructure, no tourism, no agricultural can be developed in this region because of the sinkhole threats that could be a true disaster. On the other hand, the contrast, which I've been exposed to going on these boats for over a year and a half now, is one hand you have the water receding, but you have all this life coming out from the Dead Sea. You have all this beauty, and these geological phenomena are coming out like never before. You have salt diamonds are coming out from these sinkholes, these beautiful cubes. I should have brought it with me. These beautiful cubes of the salt are coming out. You have these salt chimneys. It's a geological phenomena of fresh water underneath the Dead Sea. They have these streams going up, and because salt and fresh water do not mix, so you have these streams of fresh water underneath the Dead Sea. Then you have the salt forming a sort of formation. And on the top of it, you have the water, fresh water going out. And this was discovered to scientists only 5 years ago, and it's coming out. It's coming out from.
Do you have photos of it?
Oh, we have photos. We have documentation of it. Not only that, what's amazing about people that are into the prophecy and the whole religion aspect of the Dead Sea, the prophecies of the Dead Sea are saying that the day would come that fishermen will be fishing from the Dead Sea, is actually happening these days. In the sinkholes that are coming out, when the water receding, there's actually fish in these sinkholes. Live fish.
There's a live.
That was my first experience going on the boat ride. We got off to one of these exotic salt beaches. As we're walking around, we see these sinkholes, and I actually saw fish inside them. So it's just an amazing experience to see
alive.
The Dead Sea
in the Dead
alive.
Sea.
Yes. So
it's amazing.
So seeing this from up close is something unbelievable. And again, because this is one of the most, the lowest place on earth, and one of the most enchanted and magical places we have in Israel and around the world, to show those people from up close is something which is an unbelievable experience. And I encourage people, when you come to Israel, come to experience our boat rides. And you just check on the internet, boat ride Dead Sea. And that's our branding for this new experience, to experience the Dead Sea like never before, but also speaking and exposing this like never before. And my challenge being here in Sweden today is to thinking about showing the Dead Sea to the public here in Sweden, and using the environment cause of saving the Dead Sea, but also combining the beauty and the magic place of this place, having thousands of photographs up until today. My challenge is to expose people visually of the Dead Sea, to inspire people about Israel, and to stand up for this place, to have the environment cause for this place. By that, this will encourage for cooperations with countries around Israel and the Middle East, and to visit it, and to come visit Israel. So that's my Dead Sea cause today. It has many reasons and reasoning why to focus on this, but the Dead Sea is definitely my next cause in life today.
If I may say something about your visit to Stockholm and to Sweden and the Dead Sea and environment, the people that hate Israel most in Sweden are the Green Party. They don't care if you have the Dead Sea alive or dead, as long as it has nothing to do with Israelis or Jews. Sorry to say that, but it is
I hear
that
you.
way.
I hear you. It's not that easy.
But
Again, using the environment cause, I think it's a great strategic way to be reaching out to many liberal crowds, especially here in Scandinavian countries. I have a lot of experience being in Scandinavia. I've been 9 times in Norway. This is my 3rd time being in Sweden. Been 1 time in Finland. And this is my way of approaching today, is reaching out in a more creative way of exposing this world wonder, the beautiful and magic place of the lowest place on earth, but at the same time having the environment cause, getting many, many parties from all the political, social scale to be supporting this cause. And that's what we're hoping for the future.
It's one thing I forgot to ask you. Do they have the whole idea of bringing water to the Sea of Galilee, but that's not as sweet water?
It's desalination water, right?
Do you have the whole? Can you do the distillation of?
So the whole any project that has to deal with saving the Dead Sea has to deal with desalination water. All the projects that they're telling you just bring the water straight from the Red Sea or from the wet Mediterranean Sea
Into
direct to the Dead Sea would ruin the Dead Sea completely. All the geologists are saying that.
So it has to be sweet water.
It has to be fresh water, because that's what we're missing today, is 750 million cubic of fresh water a year. That's what's missing today.
And what does it cost?
Billions. And that's why it's way over our hands what we can do. But that's why pressuring the government to have a solution for that. And at the same time, by doing so, we store the entire historical flow to the Dead Sea, the Jordan River and the Sea of Galilee. It's actually focusing the Dead Sea, where we're storing the water problems of
on
Israel
the way,
and giving solutions
to countries
and countries beside Israel. That's why it's an eco peace or environment cause that can really bring more opportunities and solutions for countries around Israel.
Thank you very much.
Okay, my pleasure.
It was very nice to listen to you.
Fantastic.
Thank you for listening and watching. See you next time.